Report cards are now out for most K-12 students across the state, and it was a challenge for some, moving from learning in the classroom to learning in their living rooms this spring. Now that school year is over, Wisconsin education officials are trying to see just how well their virtual learning plans worked. Newswatch 12's Rachel Eiler spoke with some local teachers today and joins us now live in studio with the details. Rachel.
Justin, the coronavirus pandemic forced schools into a crash course in online education. Just the other day, James Williams Middle School announced their Virtual Schooling Excellence Awards, where students were nominated by their teachers for rising to the challenge of switching to virtual learning. But even with some students thriving, saying goodbye to physical classrooms completely won't be an educator's future. Empty lockers, chairs on tables, quiet hallways. Like many other schools, James Williams Middle School went from full of life to an empty ghost town back in March.
Now it's just kind of desolate, kind of lonely and empty.
When Kim Bowman's 7th and 8th grade classroom moved virtually online, both her and her students had to learn to adapt. Now that the school year has come to an end and the future of moving back into a physical classroom is up in the air, educators are looking at how well did virtual learning work.
Depends on the student. Throughout this, we have seen so many varied results.
Bowman added while many of her students did do well, she noticed kids easily distracted in a classroom setting thrived after moving to virtual.
They didn't have the social interaction, so they didn't have the distraction, and they really stepped it up.
Removing classroom distractions is only one aspect of the change. Even though younger students are tech savvy, that doesn't ensure tech-based learning will be successful. Researchers say that it does offer flexibility to meet students' individual learning needs.
I think the silver lining is now there's a whole generation of educators and students who are experimenting with an entirely new set of tools for learning.
Education researcher and UW-Madison professor Rich Halverson added, allowing both virtual and in-classroom settings for students will only allow personalized learning to become more popular.
There's a lot of really good principles for designing virtual learning spaces, which allow teachers to develop close relationships with kids and to better understand the kids' needs and interests and to build learning spaces for them and with them.
Only a few schools in the southern part of Wisconsin have announced reopening plans, but here in the Northwoods, educators are still discussing plans on whether or not to welcome kids back into the classroom in the fall. Reporting live in studio, Rachel Eiler, Newswatch 12.